On board Vostok 1, Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin made history on April 12, 1961, when he became both the first person in the world to enter space and the first person to orbit the Earth. Yuri Gagarin was just one of 3,000 applicants to be the first Soviet cosmonaut. Out of this large pool of applicants, just 20 were chosen in 1960 to be the Soviet Union's first cosmonauts. Gagarin was one of the 20. During the extensive physical and psychological testing required of the chosen cosmonaut trainees, Gagarin excelled at the test while maintaining a calm demeanor as well as his sense of humor. Later, Gagarin would be chosen to be the first man into space because of these skills. On April 12, 1961, Yuri Gagarin boarded Vostok 1 at the Baikonur Cosmodrome. Although he was fully trained for the mission, no one knew if it was going to be a success or a failure. Gagarin was to be the very first human being in space, truly going where no man had gone before. Minutes before the launch, Gagarin gave a speech which included, "You must realize that it is hard to express my feeling now, that the test for which we have been training long and passionately is at hand. I don't have to tell you what I felt when it was suggested that I should make this flight, the first in history. Was it joy? No. It was something more than that. Pride? No. It was not just pride. I felt great happiness to be the first to enter the cosmos, to engage single-handed in an unprecedented duel with nature. Could anyone dream of anything greater than that? But immediately after that, I thought of the tremendous responsibility I bore, to be the first to do what generations of people had dreamed of, to be the first to pave the way into space for mankind." Nearly as soon as Gagarin's feet touched the ground back on Earth, he became an international hero. His accomplishment was known around the globe. He had accomplished what no other human being had ever done before. Yuri Gagarin's successful flight into space paved the way for all future space exploration. After his successful first flight into space, Gagarin never again was sent into space. Instead, he helped train future cosmonauts. On March 27, 1968, Gagarin was test piloting a MiG-15 fighter jet when the plane plummeted to the ground, killing Gagarin instantly. For decades, people speculated about how Gagarin, an experienced pilot, could safely fly to space and back but died during a routine flight. Some thought he was drunk. Others believed that Soviet leader Leonid Brezhnev wanted Gagarin dead because he was jealous of the cosmonaut's fame. However, in June 2013, fellow cosmonaut Alexei Leonov revealed that the accident was caused by a Sukhoi fighter jet that had been flying too low, traveling at supersonic speed. The jet flew previously close to Gagarin's MiG, likely overturning the MiG with its backwash and sending Gagarin's MiG into a deep spiral. Yuri Gagarin's death at the young age of 24 deprived the world of a hero. Tsutomu Yamaguchi had long been a certified radiation survivor of the August 9, 1995 atomic bombing in Nagasaki. In March 2009, the Japanese government confirmed that he had also survived Hiroshima 3 days earlier. On that day, the US B-29 bomber Enola Gay dropped an atomic bomb nicknamed Little Boy, which exploded over Hiroshima at 8:15 in the morning. On that day, Yamaguchi happened to be in the city on a business trip for his employer, Mitsubishi Shipyard. Many years later, he recalled the bombing in a story that appeared in the British newspaper, The Times. It was very clear, a really fine day. Nothing unusual about it at all. I was in good spirits, he said. As I was walking along, I heard the sound of a plane, just one. I looked up into the sky and saw the B-29, and it dropped 2 parachutes. I was looking up into the sky at them, and suddenly it was like a flash of magnesium, a great flash in the sky. and I was blown over. Badly burned, Yamaguchi returned home to Nagasaki only to experience horror again. My double radiation exposure is now an official government record, Yamaguchi told reporters last year after his official recognition. It can tell the younger generation the horrifying history of the atomic bombings even after I die. About 140,000 people perished in Hiroshima and an additional 70,000 in Nagasaki. Many of those who survived suffered a lifetime of radiation-related health problems, including cancers. Yamaguchi lost his hearing in his left ear in the blast and suffered from the acute leukemia, cataracts, and other bomb-related illnesses in subsequent years. Yamaguchi spoke publicly about his experiences and appealed for the abolition of nuclear weapons at venues such as the United Nations. Milk's favorite cookie and Vols. Everybody loves the cream-filled crunchy chocolate biscuit that is the Oreo. The meaning behind the name Oreo is still unknown. Despite the mystery, the cookie has seen many name changes, including Oreo biscuits, Oreo sandwich, Oreo cream sandwich, and Oreo chocolate sandwich cookie. Different countries have their own unique flavors of Oreos. Japan has green tea ice cream, Argentina has dulce de leche, China has raspberry and orange, and Indonesia has blackberry ice cream. Believe it or not, cookies called Hydrox biscuits were being manufactured in 1908, 4 years before Oreos were created. After a series of experiments performed on rats in 2013, scientists found that Oreos are as addictive as psychotic drugs. The unique combination of fats, sugars, and salt keep Oreo lovers going back again and again. Since being introduced in 1912, over 450 billion of the cookies have been sold. If all of these Oreos were stacked on top of each other, they would reach the moon and back 5 times over. The pattern on the chocolate biscuit is made up of 12 dots, 12 flowers, 12 dashes, and 90 ridges around the edge. From beginning to end, it on average takes 59 minutes to produce a single Oreo cookie. All the ants are as heavy as all the humans. This claim was originally made by Harvard University professor Edward O. Wilson and the German biologist Berthold Dobler in their 1994 book Journey to the Ants. They based their estimate on an early one by British entomologist C.B. Williams, who once calculated that the number of insects alive on Earth at a given moment was 1 million trillion. If to take a conservative figure, 1% of this host is ants. Their total population is 10,000 trillion, wrote Wilson and Dobler. Individual workers weigh on average between 1 to 5 milligrams. According to the species, when combined, all ants in the world, taken together, weigh about as much as all the human beings. Wilson and Dobler's calculation is based on the idea that the average human weighs 1 million times more than the average ant. So how well does that stand up to scrutiny? The average adult human weighs 62 kg, so that would make the average ant about 60 milligrams. With around 13,000 species worldwide, ranging in length from less than 1 mm to 30 mm, it's probable their weights vary greatly. The most experts seem to agree the average weight of an ant is less than 10 milligrams. But no one knows how many ants there are in the world. A documentary claims that the number not 10,000 trillion, but 100 trillion, though it still suggests the total weight of ants equals the total weight of humans. Experts from Natural History Museum, Bristol University's Ant Lab, and Beavers, among others, say there is no realistic estimate. Even by Wilson and Dobler's own figures, their calculation is wrong. There are 7.2 billion humans on the planet today. If we take everyone over the age of 15, they weigh a combined total of about 332 billion kg. If we imagine there are 10,000 trillion ants in the world, weighing an average of 4 mg, their total weight comes to just 40 billion kg. If we for the smaller human population at the time they wrote their book and a slightly lower average weight, they are still a long way. I think if we went back 2,000 years, certainly the ants would have outweighed the humans. But at roughly the time that America became independent, or a little bit before that, that's when we humans became more impressive in our weight than the ants, he says. We must also remember that humans are getting fatter all the time. We are not just increasing in population, we are increasing in fatness. So I think we have left the ants behind. On February 6, 1971, Alan Shepard pulled out a makeshift 6-iron he smuggled on board Apollo 14 and hit 2 golf balls on a lunar surface, becoming the first and only person to play golf anywhere other than Earth. The first American astronaut in space was named commander of Apollo 14 and wanted to do something special while on the moon, so he contacted a local club pro in Houston, who connected the head of a 6-iron to the shaft of a piece of rock collecting equipment. Shepard then covered the club with a sock so it wouldn't be discovered before launch. Only a handful of people in NASA knew of Shepard's plan, when after an extended excursion on the lunar surface, he pulled out the club, dropped 2 balls on the moon, and proceeded to do this. Shepard shanked the first ball, but estimated his second shot traveled more than 200 yards. Even though it seemed like a stunt at that time, Shepard admitted there was some science involved. With little atmosphere and much lower gravity, golf balls on the moon should travel much farther than on Earth. Shepard eventually donated the club to the USGA Museum in 1974. A replica is in the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. He eventually retired from the space program and lived in a home overlooking Cypress Point in Pebble Beach, California. He died in 1998. The natural color of rubber is white. Rubber is made black by adding various chemicals, such as carbon black. This isn't just for cosmetic reasons, but because adding chemicals like carbon black to the rubber drastically increases desirable qualities of the rubber. For instance, with tires, carbon black works as a reinforcing filler in the rubber, which increases the durability and strength of the end product. Specifically, adding about 50% by weight of carbon black increases the road wear abrasion of the produced tire by as much as 100-fold and improves the tensile strength of the tire by as much as 1008%. The tensile strength, for those who don't know, is the amount of force needed to pull something to its breaking or bursting point. Adding carbon black also helps conduct heat away from certain hot spots on the tire, specifically in the tread and belt areas, which can get particularly hot at times while driving. This reduces thermal damage to the tire, which further extends its lifespan. The use of carbon black in rubber was originally proposed by Binney and Smith, now known as Crayola, the same company that invented Crayola crayons. They began selling their carbon black to the Goldrich Tire Company, which is when white tires started disappearing on cars in favor of the much superior black tires. Carbon black itself is simply nearly pure elemental carbon in colloidal particle form. It is classically made by charring any organic material. Dreams may be a secret window into your feelings, act as inspiration for a creative project, and even help you solve problems. Whether you recall many of your dreams or none at all, just because you don't remember dreaming doesn't mean you are not doing it. You generally dream at least 4 to 6 times per night, usually during the most active REM stage of sleep. If you are over 10 years old, you usually dream longer as the night goes on because the REM stage of sleep can be anywhere from 5 minutes early in the night to as long as 34 minutes towards the end of your sleep session. So if you snooze for say 8 total hours a night, 2 of them may be spent dreaming. You may not think that you are a big dreamer because most of us forget 95 to 99% of our dreams. Why you don't recall most of your dreams remains a mystery. But one theory is that it's simply because you are not concentrating on them while you are snoozing. Another theory is that our lack of recall is partly due to the hormone associated with memory being turned off while we sleep, so our brain doesn't actually encode our night visions into memories. Is the Red Sea really red? For ship captains, it's known for its violent storms, as well as reefs and submerged islands, which can make it treacherous to navigate. To the rest of us, the Red Sea is one of the warmest, saltiest, and possibly reddest seas around. But does this body of water that extends from the Gulf of Suez and Gulf of Aqaba south to the Indian Ocean really glisten a rosy hue? Not really. So where did it get its catchy name? Occasionally, the sea becomes filled with blooms of cyanobacteria algae called Trichodesmium erythraeum, which upon dying turn the usually blue-green water reddish-brown. The color is not intense and is said to vary across the expansive body of water. The origins of ice cream can be traced back to at least the 4th century BC. Early references include the Roman Emperor Nero, who ordered ice to be bought from the mountains and combined with fruit toppings, and King Tang of Shang, China, who had a method of creating ice and milk concoctions. Ice cream was likely brought from China back to Europe. Over time, recipes for ices, sherbets, and milk ices evolved and served in the fashionable Italian and French royal courts. After the dessert was imported to the United States, it was served by several famous Americans. George Washington and Thomas Jefferson served it to their guests. In 1700, Governor Bladden of Maryland was recorded as having served it to his guests. In 1774, a London caterer named Philip Lindsay announced in a New York newspaper that he would be offering for sale various confections, including ice cream. Dolly Madison served it in 1812. The first ice cream parlor in America opened in New York City in 1776. American colonists were the first to use the term ice cream. The name came from the phrase iced cream that was similar to iced tea. The name was later abbreviated to ice cream, the name we know today. Chocolate cosmos flowers are dark reddish brown, almost black, and have a chocolate scent. They are relatively easy to grow, make wonderful cut flowers, and attract butterflies. Chocolate cosmos plants are often grown in containers and borders, so their color and scent can be fully enjoyed. Chocolate cosmos plants, which are native to Mexico, can be grown outside as a perennial in hardness zone 7 and above. It can also be grown outside as an annual or in containers and overwintered inside in colder climates. Unlike most other cosmos flowers, chocolate cosmos are propagated by their tuberous roots. Their seeds are sterile, so planting chocolate cosmos seeds will not get you the plants you desire. Look for roots that have an eye on new growth on them to start new plants. If you are growing chocolate cosmos flowers as an annual, the best time to look for this is when you dig them up in the fall. If you are growing chocolate cosmos flowers as a perennial, every couple of years you can dig them up and divide them in early spring.